So here we go again with another 2 pounds of beef bottom round, trimmed of excess fat and cut into half-inch steaks. After the initial seasoning and dredging and of course needling, we'll go back into flour, knock off the excess, then into 3 whole eggs lightly beaten. Be sure to handle the meat by the corners so you don't get club hand. After the egg, we'll go with another layer of flour. That's going to help to create a nice thick chicken fried steak exterior. After the steaks are done, move them to a wire rack and allow them to sit for at least 10 or 15 minutes before cooking. Place a 10 to 12-inch sloped-sided fry pan over medium-high heat and apply just enough oil or bacon drippings to barely cover the pan in a thin film. Let's introduce the meat to the heat. Again, we do not want to crowd the pan, but we don't want to waste time or energy either. Always place the rounded part of the meat towards the rounded part of the pan. If I do this right, I should be able to get 3 pieces in here. I've got a small one. There we go. Now these are going to cook for about 4 minutes per side. In the meantime, you want to make sure that you have a waiting place for these to sit. I've got a wire cooling rack over a half sheet pan. As each batch of your steaks finish up, you want to stash them just on a wire rack set on a sheet pan in a 250-degree oven to keep them nice and cozy. Now we build the gravy. For that, we will require some starch, and we just happen to have some here. Also need a whisk, which I've also got. So this pan will go back over, let's say, medium heat, and we'll add a little bit more vegetable oil. Not enough to coat, just maybe a tablespoon will do. And I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of flour left over from the dredging process. Just kind of sprinkle it around the pan. 1, 2, 3. If it's not exact, that's okay. And whisk. Why the whisking? Because we want every single little grain of flour to be covered with fat so that there won't be any clumping when the liquid enters the pan. Speaking of, we have 2 cups of chicken broth. And just whisk until this comes just to a boil, and it will thicken up very nicely indeed. As soon as the stock begins to thicken up, the broth rather, and it has, we'll add half a cup of that milk and continue to whisk while adding in about a teaspoon, or we'll say half a teaspoon, of fresh thyme. And continue over medium heat until this coats the back of a spoon. There. We'll check, and it coats the back of a spoon very nicely. How's it taste? Could use a little salt and a whole lot more pepper. We'll say a good heavy pinch of kosher, and we'll say about 5 good grinds. What the heck, we'll make it 10 good grinds of pepper. That should do the trick. Now that, my friends, is cubed steak taken to its highest possible elevation. Chewy on the inside, a little crusty on the outside, all smothered in a peppery, creamy gravy.